We're live. Welcome back, everybody. I got a new series for you guys. I'm really excited. Low back pain for runners. Even though this is intended for runners, there's a lot of good pearls that you can get out of this for everybody. Whether you've got a desk job, low back pain has an 80% prevalence rate. So maybe share this with your friends if you've got people that aren't necessarily runners, and hopefully it can help them out. Who is the core? Or more specifically, who is not the core? Rectus abdominis, 6-pack, 8-pack, they look great. Don't get me wrong, they're fantastic. But for the health of your spine and the protection of your spine, I'm here to tell you, it is not part of the true core. So why is that? Well, great question. So analogy time. So imagine like we've got a package. Very important package. We got to ship this across country. It's going to take 90 years, not Amazon Prime, and we want to protect this. If we've got this kind of outer layer, it looks beautiful packaging on the outside, an 8-pack, you might even say, some nice pecs. And so if we're trying to protect this package and ship it for 90 years, hopefully, and it's going to be going through a lot of different turbulence, how much protection do you think that that would have on the outside? So again, look at the distance between the outside wrapping and the inside of the spine. If we're shaking things around and that's the only thing that's in that package to protect it, we're going to get a lot of shearing, a lot of stress. So the outside, the further away towards the core or the center, the less it's going to be protective. It can help move it, but it's going to be less protective. So let's further delve into this analogy. So if I took this package, this very important package, and I want to wrap something around, again, this direction, a little bit closer towards the spine or towards the package. I've got your external obliques, your internal obliques, and your transversus abdominis. These are important. We're going to talk about these again later. Notice how the fiber orientation is in this direction, the transverse plane. We're taking this wrapping paper, this saran wrap, this protection, and we're going around a little bit closer towards the spine. Let's say we go even a little bit deeper. So we've got underneath that horizontal protection, we've got this other layer of protection. These muscles here are your multifidi. They line the entire, we call this the gutter of your low back. The core is also thought of like a cylinder. We've got the top, the bottom, and around. Around, we just talked about, was the internal, external obliques and the transversus abdominis, not the rectus abdominis, the 6-pack. The top is your diaphragm, huge muscle that's responsible for breathing, and then the pelvic floor is the bottom. So this cylinder is what protects your spine. And why this is important is when we go over proper running mechanics and low back pain with running, when I say fire your core, I want you to know what it is that you're truly firing and what you're not firing. So let's go ahead and divide this again a little bit further of the muscles around the torso. We're gonna call them protectors and stabilizers, or our movers, our more dynamic, our bigger muscles. So some other key muscles in this that are gonna be important when it comes to talking about low back pain in runners in the spine is we've got your psoas muscle. It starts with a P, isn't that crazy? Like pterodactyl, fun fact. If you learn nothing else from this whole thing, psoas was a P. This is one of your hip flexors that attaches directly to your lumbar spine. This is gonna be important when it comes to later, a little foreshadowing there. And it flexes your hip, but also it flexes your trunk. Also, we've got in this other plane of movement called frontal plane, when it comes to balancing on one leg, if we don't have stability when we take one foot off the ground, what's gonna happen is we're gonna get this dipping or this dumping of our spine. Your quadratus lumborum is an important stabilizer in that frontal plane. It attaches directly to the transverse process, some of that bony prominence on the side of the vertebrae, the 12th rib, and the iliac crest. So that's going to be important too later when we talk about stability in the frontal plane along with the glutes. Okay, so this is really important. I want you guys to do this with me. You don't have to be in this position. It is the easiest way to find and fire this muscle, but I want you guys with me to fire your true core. And what we mean by that is the internal, external obliques, and then transversus abdominis, not the rectus abdominis. So what you're going to do is you're going to find this hip pointer in the front. It's called your ASIS, anterior superior iliac spine. And what you're going to do is after you identify that, you're going to roll your hands about 1 to 2 inches inward to right there. That's your window of opportunity where you can feel the core, not the rectus abdominis. What you're going to do with the mask on, COVID-19, you're going to cough. When you cough, what's going to happen is, without thinking about it, naturally, you're going to use those core muscles. You're going to feel those fingertips of yours push out, which shows that you're activating it. So when you fire it, if you're not sure, that's how you know you're firing the core. That's not how I want you to fire it, by coughing. You're going to get a lot of bad looks. We're trying to draw your belly button up and in deeper towards your spine. Notice how the curve of your back does not change. Your glutes do not fire. You're just merely trying to activate the core by pushing your fingertips out. Still breathing. Hold. It's not tense. And relax. Other cues for people is imagine like you're putting on a very tight pair of pants. Another one is, imagine like there is a fish hook in your belly button up to your lip. You're trying to pull that belly button up. This, your true core, when you go to open a door, the first thing that fires is your core, to be able to create a stable foundation to produce power off of. If this is off and not firing when you're landing, it's like me throwing a ball as far as I can in a canoe, an unstable surface, versus on a slab of cement. I can throw that ball a lot farther on that stable surface. So when it comes to later on, when we're talking about firing your core, if 10 out of 10 is as hard as you can go and 0 is off, we're talking like a 3 or a 4. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's actually not good to have it on too much. So we want a stable core. So later on in the series, when I'm talking about firing your core, I've said core like 1,000 times, I'm sorry. This is what I mean. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, other cues that work for you, please drop them below.